Mao. 2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Welcome on. Let's Taylor.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Matt Moreno. Matt, we are talking Trevor Bauer updates from the Dodgers. A couple things. Dave Roberts had some comments in a press conference earlier on Friday, making note of the fact that the door was not closed on Trevor Bauer returning to the Dodgers. Of course, just a couple hours later, Major League Baseball and the Players Union closed that door temporarily, saying that his administrative leave had been extended for yet another week. He was not allowed to report to camp or be with the Dodgers. It's an interesting scenario because, of course, charges were not brought against Bauer, and many people thought that that would bring some resolution, that Major League Baseball would have made a decision. They have not. So again, the news today, his leave extended for a week. What do you make of this? Do you think we have resolution of this situation a week from now?
You know, it's tough to say because I'm not sure at this point my read on the situation is that MLB is still looking to interview Trevor Bauer. And every report over the past several months had been that wasn't taking place until his legal proceedings, or, you know, whether or not he was going to face criminal charges was going to be resolved, because of the risk anything he kind of said to MLB investigators could then be incorporated in that. So that was, you know, then the district attorney announced they're not going to be filing charges. Then sort of came, you know, the lockout, and it sort of seemed like MLB wasn't necessarily going to try to make contact with Bauer during that time. And so now, you know, everything is really condensed with getting spring training going. So, you know, if Bauer meets with investigators this week, then perhaps, you know, it just gets extended one more week for MLB to kind of decide what they're going to do. We've touched on it in a lot of our other videos. You know, any suspension at this point probably is going to be covered by the amount of games he missed last season. So it'll sort of be a wash. And then at that point, we might see, you know, what the Dodgers decide.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, what's fascinating to me was the comments that Roberts made, because it felt very non-committal, which for an organization that has had lots of time to think about this, that was surprising to me. Now, once Major League Baseball makes their decision, maybe the Dodgers have a ton of contingency plans of, if he is not suspended, then we do X. If he is suspended for more games, then we do Y, and etc. And so maybe until that happens, they live in this, the door's not closed, the door's not open, you know, like sort of waiting game. Obviously, Dave Roberts put in an incredibly uncomfortable position. But this is a fascinating situation to see play out, because I honestly don't know what the Dodgers are going to do. I don't know what teams around the league are going to do. Is there a trade market for Trevor Bauer if the Dodgers decide they don't want him? Well, they have to cut him. They're due to pay him, you know, north of $30 million this year, and he gets that money guaranteed no matter what. So unless he's suspended without pay, which again, once charges were not brought, seemed incredibly unlikely, I think the Dodgers are going to be on a hook for a lot of money. So I'll ask you this last question before we go. What do you think? Like, is there a trade market if the Dodgers decide to not bring him back, which seems to be kind of the most common opinion? I'm not saying the right opinion, the most common opinion. He won't pitch again for the Dodgers. If that's the case, is this a cut or is this a trade situation?
It's tough to say. I mean, I think obviously the Dodgers would explore a trade. I just don't know if there's a team out there that would be willing to take the PR hit, even, you know, with Bauer not facing criminal charges. It still is an incredibly sensitive situation. And I think teams are aware of that. I think teams have seen kind of the backlash that the Dodgers received throughout this. And still, like, as much as I don't think it's likely to happen, like, if he were to come back with the Dodgers, that wouldn't completely surprise me because of the financial commitment they've made. But yeah, I mean, it's just so unpredictable.
It's fascinating because on Friday, Deshaun Watson, sort of in the same boat as Trevor Bauer, charges were not brought against him. Of course, he had way more counts. Different situation in a lot of ways. But as soon as that happens, guess what? All these teams start lining up to trade for Deshaun Watson. Now, quarterback, starting pitchers, not apples to apples, but just tells you a little bit about the difference between those two leagues. Now, there would be public backlash in the NFL if your team traded for Deshaun Watson. However, clearly ownership and the league as a whole is kind of fine with letting that one ride. We will see if Major League Baseball does the same with Trevor Bauer. That's Matt Moreno. My name's Jeff Spiegel. As always, check out DodgerBlue.com, DodgerBlue 1958 for the latest. And please subscribe, ring the notification bell here as well. We are marching towards real spring training action and opening day. We hope you join us for the ride. We'll see you soon.